story, Johnny. And in the story view, we're going to be talking about the 11th episode of Sasano Frieren, Winter, the Northern Lands. In this cool down episode, I'm going to be talking about the cool stuff about it. Cool beans, everyone. I'm gonna have to shoot you over a quick spoiler warning, because Frieren is something you really gotta experience by watching. So, if you haven't watched it yet, go do it now! This episode was amazing. Heed my warning and enjoy this story view. We begin exactly where we left off last time. Frieren meets up with Vernon Stark, confirming that she had slain Aura while spraying over the armor of the soldiers. The Graf comes to greet them, and Frieren states that she tried not to damage the armors due to Himmel's disapproval. The Graf finds his son's armor and proceeds to escort the party back to town. She's rewarded with a fake grimoire, and Stark gets very scared of having spoken so casually to the Graf. Party celebrates with the townsfolk for a while, helping them out with some tasks, and finally decide to leave town on their journey to the Northern Lands. They discover that they must have a first-class mage in order to travel further, as awarded by the Continental Magic Association. In order to retrieve this certification, they must travel to Ozurst, the largest magical city in the Northern Lands. The party quickly gets swept up in a snowstorm, a deadly occurrence by Frieren's reckoning. As well, they become lost. Stark passes out, so Frieren, as well as Fern carrying Stark, press forward in an attempt to find the emergency shelter at the base of the mountains. They find a cabin and see an elf doing squats inside with his shirt off. They decide to stay in the cabin with the elf, and he says his name is Kraft, and he is a monk. Stark has a nice dream and wakes up with Kraft cuddling him to conserve warmth. We see a quick montage of life surviving in the cabin until spring, and Kraft saying that Frieren is young. They part ways, and Kraft says that they will likely meet again. I think that this episode is pretty funny. It's a cool down episode, so we got some fairly slow-paced lore stuff and some funnies. Stark saying that Himmel trained Frieren to act better is pretty funny, mostly because it's true. Next, Stark being scared to death of being executed for disrespecting the Graf is pretty funny. Even more so when this random guy with an axe comes in to report that he had just finished cutting down a tree. Like, that's the best possible time to report that. In the montage, we see Stark meeting his terror again in a short scene. Something that's also pretty funny is how out of date Frieren is. We see her failing to realize the new instruction of a magic organization, saying that her own items wouldn't work. And we see Stark fainting again from fear of getting lost, having Fern have to carry him. Poor Stark just can't catch a break. When he wakes up, he realizes he's been cuddling with the buff monk all this time. Speaking of the eccentric monk, we meet Kraft in this episode. We first see him doing squats in the empty cabin, making us think he might be a little bit off his rocker. He reveals to be an elf and almost instantly finds a sort of kinship with Frieren. By the virtue of both being elves, they have a sort of shared experience that cannot be explained. However, by his calling Frieren young, it seems as if he is far, far older than Frieren. Perhaps even old enough to remember when the goddess came down to the land, the Mythic era. Speaking of the goddess, Kraft is an avid believer in her. If she does not exist, everyone who had known of his heroic ventures would be gone. He wants her to tell him that he had lived a good life. When he exits the cabin, promises Frieren that they will meet someday once more. Well, that was episode 11 of Sasano Frieren. I'll be back here for the 12th episode